Okay. Can't wait to talk with you. Coming up. Keep reading. Hi, Terri Gillespie here, and welcome to Top Picks for the month of April. And I'm so excited. I'm always excited because I'll tell you what, we have had multiple crops of amazing books in this last year and this year so far. So I can't wait to talk with you about these books. So, book number 1 is the lead book, and that means that I will be interviewing this author, Sarah Loudin Thomas, and this is my first book that I've read by Sarah. It's not her first book by any means. She's written lots of books, but this book is These Tangled Threads. Fascinating. Okay, so this is published by Bethany House. This is historical fiction, and I'm going to talk with Sarah during the interview, which will be next week, and it's fascinating the way that she wrote this book, but I don't want to get into it too much. So, historical fiction, Bethany House. Here's a little bit about Sarah. Sarah Loudin Thomas is the author of numerous acclaimed novels. In fact, she's best-selling and multi-award winning, including The Finder of Forgotten Things, The Right Kind of Fool, winner of the 2021 Selah Book of the Year, and Miracle in a Dry Season, a winner of the 2015 INSPE Award. She worked in public relations for Biltmore Estates for 6 years and is now the director of Jan Karen's Mitford Museum in Hudson, North Carolina. A native of West Virginia, she and her husband now live in Western North Carolina. So it's interesting because, take all this paraphernalia out of here. So it says a novel of Biltmore. And I just want to tell you that one of the things that Sarah loves to write about is common everyday people in the Appalachian area. So it's set around the Biltmore area, the Biltmore Mansion. But it's really about the industry that the Biltmore had to promote the crafts of the Appalachian area. So here's a little synopsis. So this is set in the shadow of Biltmore Estate, and it's a poignant tale of friendship, restoration, and second chances. So it begins with a hidden betrayal scatters 3 young friends living in the shadow of the great Vanderbilt mansion. Now, when Biltmore Industries master weaver Lorna Blankenship is commissioned to create an original design for Cornelia Vanderbilt's 1924 wedding, she panics, knowing she doesn't have the creativity needed. But there's an elusive artisan in the Blue Ridge Mountains who can save her, if only she knew where to begin. Okay. So this is the prologue, and it's in Arthur's point of view. That was my dad's name. It's actually my brother's name, too. Elkins, West Virginia, 1897. Arthur stilled his hands the moment the slim, mustached man stepped into the sunlit room and asked to see Reverend Swope. He felt his breathing slow as the man's dark eyes swept the simple space. Arthur had the sense their visitor planned to describe what he saw in detail later. When that warm, interested gaze landed on him, Arthur quivered like a rabbit in the shadows. He tucked his newly braced foot further under his chair. So beautiful. This comes in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And I think I'd love to hear this in the audiobook version too. Beautiful. And I've already interviewed Sarah, and I can tell you it's just a delightful, delightful interview. She is just sunshine. Okay, next. Okay, so this is Becca Kinzer's Love in Tandem. Now, I have to look and see when I did a review of her very first book. This is her second book, but I loved her first book. They don't have it written here, but it was just quirky, and I love quirky and funny, and yet it's also very poignant and touching. I've had so many laugh out loud moments, and yet there were moments when I just cried as well. That's just always a fun, great book to read. So this was released early April, and it's published by Tyndale House. And it would be considered contemporary romance. So this is a little bit about Becca. She lives in Springfield, Illinois, where she works as a critical care nurse. When she's not taking care of sick patients or reminding her husband and 2 kids that frozen chicken nuggets is a gourmet meal, she enjoys making up lighthearted stories with serious laughs. She is a 2018 ACFW First Impressions Contest winner, a 2019 Genesis Contest winner, a 2021 Cascade Award winner, and an all-around champion coffee drinker. All right, so this book, it comes out in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. I'm not sure. It's supposed to be in hardback. So if it is, I'll put it in the, I'll have the link and it'll show what formats it comes in. Okay, so here's a little bit about the book. She's perfectly content leading a quiet life in her small hometown. He's an adventurer with unquenchable wanderlust. The two couldn't be any more opposite if they tried, but a tandem bicycle and a 500-mile road trip just might change all that. I don't know how I would do a 500 miles. I think I would make maybe a mile or 2. Okay, chapter 1. It's a terrible thing when a teacher survives an entire school year only to die the first minute of summer vacation. "What you doing, Miss Carter?" "Don't move," Charlotte whispered to whichever first grader had spoken, or maybe it was a second grader. Up until middle school, they all sounded the same, like little mice helping Cinderella prepare for the ball. "Are you playing statues?" the nameless child squeaks. "Not exactly." Charlotte puckered her lips and blew a soft breath without moving a muscle. "There's a bee." See? Funny. All right. Next. Nicole Deese. The Roads We Follow. Okay. I reviewed another one of Nicole's books, and I think, did I interview her? I'm getting old. If I have, I'll put the link there. But Nicole is an incredible storyteller. She and writer. And by the way, you can be an okay writer and an incredible storyteller, but she's both. She's an incredible storyteller and a great writer. So this is published by Bethany House and it releases in a couple days. So you can pre-order. And I've noticed that if you pre-order, a lot of times you'll get it even before it actually releases. So I'll have the link down below in the description section. Okay, and this is considered contemporary romance, and this is part of the Fog Harbor romance series. And the books in the series are really standalones. They might include a character or two in each of the books, but if you start with this one, because I think this one's book 3, if you start with this one, you're not going to miss anything, and you'll only enjoy reading the previous books at another time. All right, so this is comes out in I think it comes out in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. So if you don't know Nicole, here's a little bit about her. Nicole Deese is a Christian Carol Award-winning, best-selling author of hope-filled, humorous, and heartfelt contemporary romance novels. When she's not sorting out character arcs and story plots of her own, she can usually be found listening to an audiobook and multitasking at least 4 different chores at a time. She's a hoarder of sparkling water, a lover of long walks and even longer talks with friends, and a seeker of fun and adventure. She lives in Idaho with her happily ever after hubby, 2 freakishly tall teenage sons, and 1 princess daughter with the heart of a warrior. Okay, here's a summary. Aspiring writer Reagan Farrow learns about a tell-all on her famous mother's life that could tear their family apart, but keeps it secret as they embark on a cross-country trip. While trying to uncover who's behind it, she learns her handsome driver has his own connection to her mother's past, and all their lives will be changed by journey's end. Now, her mother in this book is a country western singer. She's very, very popular. So they're going on this tour bus, and just the whole premise, the whole story arc is so complex, so funny, so tender, and even a little bit of mystery as well. So ticks a lot of my boxes. Plus, the protagonist is a writer, so I always like books like that. I like movies like that too. So this is fun. She has a little map of their journey, where they're headed to. So they're headed from Nashville to Idaho. All right, chapter 1, and this is in Reagan's point of view. I breathe in the fresh dopamine hint of a dark roast brewing somewhere behind the coffee shop's counter and remind myself that turning off my GPS location from the family's tracking app is not one of the 7 deadly sins. Nor is my decision to keep today's meeting with an acquisition editor from Fog Harbor Books off the shared family calendar. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ashamed of my love for the written word. It's just that I've learned the hard way why some dreams are worth keeping to yourself, especially when those dreams involve seeking a professional's opinion on the unpublished manuscript you've been revising all year long. And especially when the world you live in is far more likely to accept an up and coming country music artist over a wannabe author who writes in secret under the cover of night. Love it, love it, love it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Okay. This is The Elusive Truth of Lily Temple by Joanna Davidson Politano. And I gotta say, just right off the bat, I wonder, is there like a vat of fairy dust that is sprinkled on these pages? It's just, this book is, it's just so exquisitely written and suspenseful and heartbreaking sometimes. And it's just, Joanna, you outdid yourself. You know I love what you write. This, you just outdid yourself. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is published by Revell. It came out at the beginning of April, and it's in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. I wouldn't mind reading this again or do it with audiobook. It's just so beautifully written. Okay, if you've never read anything by Joanna, here's a little bit about her. She is the award-winning author of Lady Jane Disappears, A Rumored Fortune, Finding Lady Enderley, The Love Note, A Midnight Dance, and The Lost Melody. The Lost Melody. Ooh. Felt like a Hitchcock historical. Oh, my goodness. She loves tales that capture the colorful, exquisite details in ordinary lives and is eager to hear anyone's story. She lives with her husband and their children in a house in the woods near Lake Michigan. Okay, here's a summary of the book. Lively and charming silent movie actress Lily Temple is everything private investigator Peter Driscoll is not. Doesn't she look like a silent film star? Oh, and it was fascinating, the research she did and the insight she had into how movies came about and how they colorized them. And it's just fascinating without being tedious. It's just incredible. It makes sense then that combining forces with Peter Driscoll mean more cases solved and secrets revealed, except for Lily's own secret. Why a legendary missing sapphire is within her possession and on her person at all times. See, that's just the tip of the mystery. Just a little bit. All right. Okay, chapter 1. Oh, in each chapter she has quotes from different fairy tales. It's just great. Life itself is the most wonderful fairy tale. Hans Christian Andersen. Whitestone Manor, Hove Seaside, 1903. I hadn't decided if I'd tell the whole truth or not when the men arrived. Peter would have, because he's Peter. I, however, never let facts hinder the power of a good story. Like water, innocuous and common, a good tale rushes forward, carving its own path through rock and hill and sod, sculpting the earth into a bold new landscape before anyone knows what is happening. Where Peter used silence, patient, and unending goodness, the best weapon in my quiver was the pointed truth, driven home by the arrow of a well-told tale. I don't know. I might have to read a quote here. One of the quotes. She has such a descriptive way of describing why stories are so important. I mean, Jesus used parables, and stories can get across points that you can't just tell someone a pointed truth. But if you couch it in a story, it all of a sudden it sprouts wings, or it sprouts roots that just dig into a person so that it becomes more a part of them. So let's see here. His stories, they were an escape from life at first, a boon for a rather out-of-place girl. But then they helped me untangle my thoughts, too. See life more clearly. If he'd tried to explain the difficulty people in my life or the heartache of losing my mother, it would have fallen flat. But in stories, truth took shape in my mind. Somehow I reached conclusions on my own, gleaned wisdom. So to your question, Gordon Makepeace, he is the one who wrote the fairy tale we're now filming, and he did it for me, about me. It was his final gift to me. This, to me, this could be a classic, and I think that it should be in every literature class, high school literature class. It's just incredible. Okay, A Run at Love by Toni Shiloh. Now, I have done a couple of reviews on Toni's books, In Search of a Prince, and there was another one too. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Anyway, I love Toni's books because she has such a cool voice and an interesting point of view and how she sees things. So this is published by Bethany House. It's contemporary romance, and it'll release May 7th, which means pre-order. Really helps the publisher and the author get out there. So if you can pre-order, that would be great. Plus, you get it a little sooner than if you pre-order it after it releases. So if you haven't read anything by Toni Shiloh, here's a little bit about her. Toni Shiloh is a wife, a mom, and award-winning Christian contemporary romance author. Her novel, In Search of a Prince, won the first ever Christie Amplified Award. It has also been praised by Oprah Daily, Pop Sugar, Library Journal, and Booklist, and is a Parable bookseller. Her books have won the Selah Award and have been finalists for the Carol Award and the Hope Medallion. As a member of the American Christian Fiction Writers, Toni loves connecting with readers and authors alike via social media. Okay, and this is going to come out in paperback, ebook, and audiobook, and I think hardback. Okay, summary. Piper McKinney dreams of her horse winning the Kentucky Derby, and with the help of her best friend, horse trainer Tucker Hale, great name for romantic interest, that hope starts to become reality. Then her parents are embroiled in a scandal, and Piper is implicated. She and Tuck will have to survive the onslaught to find their way to the winner's circle and each other. It's not your typical rom-com. It's as you can see, it's biracial marriage. And I always love reading those because our son in love is African American, and so I love that represented here. And our grandson is ebony colored and gorgeous. So yeah, so she and her parents, Piper's parents, um, are white and adopted her in the country where In Search of a Prince is located, the fictional country. So it's kind of cool. And you're going to learn a lot about horse racing without it. I mean, she melds it in there into the story so nicely. So it's very, very cool. I'm not a horsey person, but my nephew is a farrier, and my aunt, very much a horsey person. She trained horses. So it was kind of cool. All right. So let's see. Let me read the first paragraph. Prologue. June last year. I breathed in deeply, inhaling the intoxicating combination of horses and hay. Today was going to be a good day. I just knew it. Good day, good book. Okay. Final book in the top picks is Gabrielle Meyer's For a Lifetime. And this is book 3 in the Timeless series. And I'm wearing earrings that Gabe made for me. I don't know how she does it. She homeschools. She writes several books a year. She's amazing. And this series, if you have not read it, is so great, especially if you're a fan. You're kind of a fan, would like to be a fan of science fiction, but you don't really want all the technology and things like that. This is a historical, and it's technically a split time, but it's in a really unique way. It is, the characters are called time crossers, and they live simultaneously in 2 different time periods. So once they go to sleep, their other self in the other time period comes alive and lives out their life. And then at the age of 25, they have to make a decision on which timeline they want to live in. So I've read the first 2 books. Yeah. Well, this one's amped up because, well, wait a minute. Let me tell you a little bit about Gabe. Okay, and then this is Bethany House, and it's coming out May 7th, so pre-order. Gabrielle Meyer is an ECPA best-selling author. She has worked for state and local historical societies and loves writing fiction inspired by real people, places, and events. She currently resides along the banks of the Mississippi River in central Minnesota with her husband and 4 children. By day, she's a busy homeschool mom, and by night, she pens fiction and nonfiction filled with hope. All right, so here's a summary of this book. Identical twin sisters, Grace and Hope, are time crossers who simultaneously live in 1692 as daughters of a tavern owner during the Salem witch trials, and in 1912 as an aviatrix, somebody who flies planes, and a journalist. As their 25th birthday approaches, they will each have to choose one life to keep and one to leave behind forever, no matter the cost. So you have the premise, like in the other 2 books, of being time crossers. But what's different about this one is you have twins. So it's like double the trouble, double the excitement. And who would want to stay in Massachusetts during the Salem witch trials? And by the way, if they die in one of the time periods, they automatically wake up permanently in the other time period. So if you die in one, then you only can live in the other one. Just thought you should know. Okay, chapter 1, Grace's point of view. February 28, 1692, Salem Village. It was a strange reality to be on the precipice of tragedy and not be able to stop it. Stranger still to live two simultaneous lives and know that one day I would have to choose one and leave the other forever. But this has been my existence since birth, a gift, my mama called it, though I am certain she only said that to placate the fears of a child. Now imagine that you're in an older time period and you are also in a more modern time period. So you know the history of what's going to happen in the older time period. So, and what can you change and what can you not change? So it's so good. And Gabe, this one. Love this one. I can't wait for the next one. Okay, and that one, hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And I think that's it. Appreciate you stopping by and watching. I hope you've found at least one or two, maybe all of these books as potential reads in the coming month. I'm already reading the May top picks, and great batch again. So looking forward to seeing you next month. In the meantime, God bless and keep reading.